Life Unrehearsed, brought to you by Lianas Senior Transition Support, helping you navigate home care and senior residences.
Welcome to Life Unrehearsed. My name is Matt Delvecchio, specializing in elder care planning, downsizing in the senior living industry. Thank you for tuning in. Coming up on the first half of the show, although Canada is regarded as a developed country, there are still literacy challenges across the country, and particularly here in Quebec. Some of the stats are quite shocking, and we're going to be addressing the challenges of literacy while sharing some uplifting stories, including a gentleman who will be joining us to tell his story about his struggles with reading and writing and what he's doing to live a productive life. And on the second half of Life Unrehearsed, we'll be discussing ways to age at home longer and safely. Well, you might want to consider getting the advice from an occupational therapist that can review your home situation and offer unique and practical solutions to age in place. That's going to be coming up after the 4:30 news. Well, when I was a little younger, I thought of literacy as a challenge that was experienced by only a very small percentage of the population. Well, as many of you probably know, or the loyal listeners of Life Unrehearsed, I'm a huge Habs fan. And in 2005, Jacques Demers published his biography. And in it, he revealed that he could not read or write. And that's after spending 15 years in the NHL as a head coach and general manager. Just quite amazing. And that was my eye-opener. Well, I recently ran into Julia Asselstine at a recent seniors fair. Julia is the executive director at Literacy Unlimited, and we had a very interesting conversation about literacy. And I have Julia here with me in studio to talk about it. Julia, welcome to Life Unrehearsed.
Hi, Matt. Nice to be here.
Well, thank you for coming in. Such an important topic. Well, let's start with why literacy matters.
Matt, can you imagine not being able to read a bus schedule, a metro schedule, or looking at a recipe and not being able to understand it from not only the words, but the measurements? Literacy literally is linked to our everyday dignity. We've had a learner tell us before that improving her literacy, by improving it, it's helped her so much. Beforehand, she couldn't look people in the eye, and she likened it to actually feeling hurt inside. And now this woman, she volunteers with us to help others. Literacy also empowers people to reach their career goals. It can be as simple as knowing how to fill out an application, or more complex, and that's perhaps pursuing further education to get the job that you want. We have many learners at Literacy Unlimited that tell us that they've been able to find the careers of their dreams because they've increased their literacy levels. And imagine, Matt, not being able to help your kids do homework or read a book to them at night. This actually brings like tears to my eyes. We've had a learner tell us that she showed her daughter what she has accomplished, and this little girl said, "Mommy, I am so proud of you." I mean, what a beautiful mentoring opportunity. And something that's a little closer to your heart, Matt, is it helps also break isolation, because people will not go out and break out of their isolation and go into group settings because they're afraid they have to read something. They're going to be expected to write something. We have a literacy-friendly seniors program where we have all kinds of seniors come in, and they'll tell us, we were isolated. We didn't want to go out. And we know what happens with seniors who are isolated. This can be deadly. I know that sounds extreme, but it can be. But I'm going to end with this quote, Matt. If you can read and write, you can fly like a bird and nobody can stop you.
I just love that. And you brought up such a good point, Julia, about the isolation. We saw how that affected everyone with the pandemic. And could you imagine that not being the issue for isolation? It's because you lack the confidence of going out there. So such an important point. I didn't think it was a prevalent issue, but can you provide us with an idea of the current state of literacy in Canada?
Of course. And you're not alone. Today across Canada, almost 20% of adults struggle with basic reading, and close to 50% struggle with understanding long or complex information, and that is needed for further learning. And Matt, a child's literacy begins with their parents. So you can imagine what that impact has, right? A mother's education level is one of the greatest determinants of her child's future academic success. And this outweighs other factors, including family income. And I'll take it another layer down. Approximately 25% of grade 3 children in Canada right now are not reading at that level. Matt, there really is no one factor that can so drastically shape a person's chance of success, earning potential, health, and well-being, while helping to break the cycle that leads to daily poverty and struggle like literacy. And these stats, they need to simply change.
Listening to Life Unrehearsed with Matt Delvecchio, and we're talking with Julia Asselstine, the Executive Director at Literacy Unlimited, just some of the facts that she's talking about and how it affects individuals. Julia, when we were talking beforehand, this can affect health even. I never related the two, but in fact, it's very true, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. According to a report by the Canadian Council on Learning, shockingly, 60% of Canadian adults and 88% of seniors are not health literate. You're probably wondering, what is health literacy? It's actually the ability to access. So that's understanding or knowing where to go for your ailment. It's understanding your health. It's understanding a prescription. It's understanding maybe instructions that your healthcare provider has given you, such as an occupational therapy that we're going to hear about later. And it's being able to evaluate what you're reading out there on health and communicating how you're feeling with your healthcare providers. The facts are that adults with limited health literacy are hospitalized and use emergency services at a significantly higher rate than those with higher literacy rates, skills.
Amazing. And, if you could just explain, Julia, how do individuals and companies access resources? You've got a wonderful group with Literacy Unlimited. And what do we do in and around Montreal? For our listeners that might be listening, you might not be yourself, but you may know someone that has to access some resources. What do people do?
Yeah, of course. Thankfully, there are many nonprofit organizations here to help that fill those skills gap, like Literacy Unlimited. Literacy Unlimited provides free one-on-one tutoring programs. We have workshops. We have family literacy programs. We cover from Verdun to the Ontario border, which is the Lester B. Pearson School Board area. And you can reach us at literacyunlimited.ca or call us at 514-694-0007. But there's also Literacy Quebec, and they are our umbrella organization. And they can provide a list of our sister organizations in and around Montreal, even Quebec. And they deliver similar programs for free. People can call for help at 1-888-521-8181 or visit them at literacyquebec.org. But you could also be looking for French literacy resources because we focus on English, and Literacy United for Literacy is your go-to. They are at 1-800-555-6523, or you can find them at unitedforliteracy.ca.
We're going to repeat some of those numbers at the end of just before our 4:30 news. We've got about 30 seconds, Julia, but very quickly, for our listeners, what can they do to help?
I would say get out there and share what you've learned today about the importance of literacy. Share it with your friends, your family, your social networks. Support your local literacy organizations through donations, volunteering, or by participating in events. And if you have strong literacy skills, go help and tutor someone if you can. Donate your books to libraries, schools, and ensure that at home, especially if you have kids, you have lots of books, because that's another indicator of future success for children. That's the number of books in your home.
That's wonderful. Really appreciate you coming in. We're going to ask you to hang around, okay, Julia? Is that all right? And
Super.
That's Julia Asselstine, the Executive Director at Literacy Unlimited. You mentioned the term learner a couple of times. Well, we are going to have a gentleman considered a learner who has struggled with reading and writing. We're going to hear from him personally, and he's going to share his story as to what he's doing to be productive in life. And welcome back to Life Unrehearsed. There's a little Van Morrison, and on the bright side of the road, I'm Matt Delvecchio, and we're tackling the topic of literacy and how, for many people, the act of reading and writing is a struggle. Well, we just heard from Julia Asselstine, Executive Director at Literacy Unlimited, and I'd like to bring in a gentleman that has struggled with literacy. He's now what is termed as a learner. I have Treldon on the line. Treldon, welcome to Life Unrehearsed.
Good evening, Matt. How are you today?
I'm doing well, Treldon. Thanks so much for joining us here on a Sunday in Life Unrehearsed. I'd like to find out a little bit more. You have a wonderful story, but how did you hear about Literacy Unlimited?
I heard about Literacy Unlimited actually on CJAD. Every morning going into work, I hear the ad, and I think I was roughly around 25 years old at the time.
Amazing. And obviously in Montreal, but from what I understand, Treldon, you didn't call Literacy Unlimited right away. I mean, why did you decide to make that call?
I didn't call Literacy Unlimited immediately because I was nervous, scared, and I had bad experiences with school. I'm going to give you like a little personal background. As a young kid, immigrating to Canada, I was in and out of school. So I did not have the understanding of my basic English reading and writing. So come to Canada, then they put me in a French school. I was lost. And then after my mom, she transferred me to English school, but it was too hard. It was too hard at the time.
And, so that must have been so frustrating for you. I'm sure there was a lot of some guilt. Maybe you were nervous, like you said, and anxious. Yeah. And then it took you until the age of 25, I guess, when you did reach out to Literacy Unlimited.
So that's when I decided to make the call because I wanted to make changes in my life. I wanted to be more independent by improving my reading and writing.
And now, speaking of the reading and writing skills, I believe you've been with a tutor now for several years. And how is that going?
Oh, it's amazing. Working with my tutor helped me boost my confidence to apply for a new position at my job. I worked very hard to get several certifications. Now I'm very comfortable handling work documents, and at home it boosted my self-esteem to be more involved in family affairs. As I said, such as reading to my kids, playing games with them, anything that they have like schoolwork, homework, anything that I could help them. And forcing in life too, doing banking stuff, knowing all these little things, life,
And I could just hear it in your voice and how that must have just helped you gain confidence and feel more independent. You're listening to Life Unrehearsed, and I'm talking about literacy, and I have Treldon on the line that's telling us about his story. Now, Treldon, you mentioned school, how difficult it was. So I'd like to, ask you the difference between school versus learning with Literacy Unlimited.
I love the feeling attending Literacy Unlimited because all the tension is on me. Compared to a classroom like full of students, like 20-odd students, one-on-one tutoring gives me the tools to achieve my goals. It's very flexible. Most of the times we meet in person. Me and my tutor, we meet in person at the Literacy Unlimited Center. When it's a little bit too busy, we meet sometimes on Zoom. Like when the COVID hit, we was doing tutoring on Zoom, and sometimes at the local library.
It's encouraging to hear because I could just tell. Obviously, that one-on-one tutoring has changed your life and
Yeah.
given you the confidence. I just love your story about just talking to the children, and how that has even changed. And before I had Julia on, the executive director, talking about some incredible statistics, and I mentioned the story of Jacques Demers, where it really kind of shocked me because I couldn't imagine someone being a head coach and a general manager for 15 years and not being able to read or write. So there was a lot of shame and guilt in that, in reading his book. And so from your perspective, Treldon, what would you say to anyone listening right now who's struggling with reading and writing and wants to improve their skills?
I would say don't hesitate to make the call. Reading is a very, very valuable law. Reading and writing is a very valuable tool. If you recognize that you are, struggling, make the call. Literacy Unlimited, it's a good program. It's free, and they helped me change my life, and just make the call.
It's amazing. It did change your life, and like you say, I guess more than half the battle is actually making that call.
And there again, it's totally confidential. They are very nice. They will, assess you. They'll get you a tutor, match you up with a tutor, and you just. Anything that you have, you just come and they'll work on it with you to achieve your goal.
All right. Treldon, thank you. You are a real inspiration, and congratulations. I wish you continued success.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Matt.
All right.
And thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Really, just fantastic, Treldon. All the best. And
I want to just give shout out to my tutor. Hi. And everybody at LU. Thank you guys again.
Wonderful. Great shout outs like that. Love that. I want to bring Julia Asselstine back in. She's the executive director at Literacy Unlimited. And Julia, it doesn't get better than that. That's I guess exactly what you're trying to accomplish at Literacy Unlimited. It is still a lot of work for you. You've got to raise money. There's donations, and you've got a lot of volunteers and staff as well. So if people want to find out, if our listeners want to find out about Literacy Unlimited, where can you just repeat where we need to go? And I believe you've got, you're in the middle of a campaign right now.
Yeah. We're always looking for tutors, first and foremost. And definitely we have a campaign going on right now. So Bain Magique, Bathfitter, has donated for our annual appeal, $10,000. So every dollar you donate is matched. You can visit literacyunlimited.ca. We're also on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Thank you so much, Matt.
All right. Well, thank you, Julia. That's Julia Asselstine, the executive director at Literacy Unlimited. And way to go, Bain Magique. They're raising a lot of money for you, and good on them as well for such an important cause, as we just heard from Treldon. All right. We are going to be talking about a very important topic after the news, in my world, at least, helping seniors and older adults and their adult children. The term aging in place is getting more and more popular. People want to stay in their homes for as long as they possibly can. Could be easier said than done. So next up on Life Unrehearsed, we're going to try to help you age at home a little longer, and we're going to have the advice of an occupational therapist. Who would have thought that an occupational therapist could be a key person in helping you age at home? Well, we've got one of the best occupational therapists in Montreal that will be coming up, talking to us about aging at home safely and longer. That's coming up after the CTV News Update.